What documents do you use in your practice? It's a great question and a great place for us to start this course. My name is Alex Nguyen, and I'm a general dentist practicing in Saratoga, California. I am also an accredited member of the American Academy of Cosmetic Dentistry. There are tons of information out there about the clinical instructions behind beautiful dentistry, but there are very few resources and discussion about the patient management aspect of cosmetic dentistry. I am hoping to share with you my experience in dealing with these complex cases and what we can do to keep our work stress-free. In this next series of lessons, I'm going to go over a variety of documentation we can keep as dentists and how those documents can impact our cosmetic practice. Adequate documentation can be the one thing that protects you from the potential pitfalls surrounding the practice of cosmetic dentistry. Okay, so let's get right to it. Our documentation process must start from the initial contact with the patient. If the patient contacts us via the internet, then we save the emails or web form contacts. If the patient calls us, then we use a phone inquiry form to gather new patient information. These are the most simple forms of documentation, but they can be incredibly helpful in determining if this patient is the right fit for you and your practice. You have to keep in mind that not every patient who calls you or emails you is going to be a patient you want in your practice. Yes, you're a doctor and you want to help people, but it's also your business and you want to be happy coming into the practice every day. Controlling access to your practice is not only good for you, it's good for your patients. If you are happy, you will do better work and you will reduce stress. In the initial contact with the patient, the inquiry is usually for a consultation appointment. The first question we document is, what is the consultation appointment for? From this question, we can immediately classify the potential case type that is coming in. Generally, cosmetic cases will fall into three categories, and we want to know if the case is 1. New work, 2. A redo of aged work, or 3. A redo of recent work from other dentists where the patient may be unhappy about. If the patient's answer is the last option, this should be red flag number 1. Why is it a red flag? Well, you should think about the fact that if the patient left one office and is now coming into your office, what are the chances that you can meet or exceed the expectations? More investigative work will need to be carried out before you accept to treat this case type. Sometimes you will encounter patients who go through multiple offices and yet they are still unhappy. The second question we document is, whom may we thank for referring you? This question will tell us if the patient is coming to us from a personal referral or from a social media source. Usually, patients from personal referrals have already been briefed on your style of practice, your level of expertise, and perhaps even your range of fees. On the other hand, the nature of social media-driven types of patients puts them in what I consider a high-maintenance category. Most likely, they contacted your office because they saw some outstanding reviews. These patients' expectations are very high. This is red flag number 2. So why is it also a red flag? The positive reviews that were written about you may not represent the level of difficulty of the clinical case type and the personality profile of the potential patient. What you have done successfully for other patients may be impossible to replicate for this new patient. Also, some people will get on social media and write negative things about your practice just from a phone conversation and without having visited your office. The nature of social media is so complex that whether we like it or not, it has to be a component of our patient management strategy. Patients sometimes will use social media irresponsibly and unfairly. By having proper protocols for handling patients who are driven to your practice through social media platforms, you can prevent potential problems. We are going to touch on social media more later in this video. So now that you have an idea of what kind of clinical case and where the patient is coming from, the third question to document is, what goals are you looking to achieve by coming to see our doctor? This question will help tell us if the patient is simply looking for a clinical solution or if there is a potentially more complex underlying problem associated with previous work that you will have to help the patient sort through. It will give a good indication of how this new patient will need to be managed.